This has been my experience with setting up a JetPack 6620 Verizon with a SonicWall TZ 400W as a WAN load balancing or failover when the WAN goes down. This JetPack for 20 bucks a month. It's a pretty good backup for with unlimited for cellular access if your WAN goes down, and it supports approximately it's maybe our experience has been 5 or 6 people. The speeds are not that great. It's about 3 meg, but that's not bad at all. So the trick that I found was when you set up the JetPack, it wants, at least the Verizon JetPack, it wants to set up the interface on U0 WAN as 192.168.1.2. I made the big mistake for weeks of having the same, just at a coincidence, 192.168.1.x on my LAN, and that precluded the system from working. It just would never connect. One other trick is that when the 3G modem, when your modem does connect, you'll have to click on manage, and then once you click on manage, it will say, do you want to connect? And that's when it'll change the IP address from 00000 to 192.168.1.2. Apparently 1.2 is somehow the default for the JetPack. The other things to look for, of course, is I wanted to talk about real quickly is, and by the way, I'm on the latest and greatest, as of July, the latest maintenance release firmware for this SonicWall. So that works perfectly fine. The 3G, 4G is where you will find, when you first set it up, it'll say auto here. So just let the auto interface take over. It'll connect as long as your JetPack is working. And then you'll go down to, and it'll pick the 3G, 4G LTE mobile. And then you'll go down to connection profiles. There will be no connection profiles until you create a plan or add a plan. And you'll just click on add. It'll populate it as the file. It'll populate it like this. And if you go to configure, I'll show you what it'll automatically configure it. You'll choose, of course, the country, choose Verizon, of course, and then a plan type, 4G is what I chose here, and choose global, and that works just fine. It'll pre-populate. These are all defaults, so you don't need these at all. And then when you're finally, when you've got it connected, you just go over to your load balancing tab under network, I believe it is it? Go under load balancing, and you'll choose U0 as your, so you'll choose, you'll set up enable load balancing, and when you configure that, just make sure that you select which is your primary, which will be X1, and then you'll go over here to U0. You'll add that to the list, to the drop-down list, and come on, edit, there we go. And then just say okay, and it'll automatically fail over to the U0. Now, in our stores, we've been running this for about a month, and it works great. Again, after I learned the trick with the subnet, with the LAN subnet. But the trick was also that we disconnected a broken WAN port back on the back of the SonicWall to force the U0 to take over. It takes about 35 seconds for the JetPack to take over, and then it's solid. But when you plug back the WAN port, if it's solid, if it's repaired, if your WAN port is repaired, your vendor goes down. Your DSL modem or your coax modem goes down, or fiber modem goes down. It'll take over with it. It'll jump back to the fiber or the DSL or the coax in less than 5 seconds. So it's pretty good. Pretty handy way to have a failover unit on the U0 interface. Again, I can just unplug this here. So that's this guy, of course, here into your USB port, JetPack. And again, this is the JetPack 6620L. If I didn't say that, sorry about that. It's just one of our samples here. And It'll of course pick up charge from the SonicWall, so you don't have to worry about charging it through that cable, that tether cable. And it's a pretty good system for $20 a month. Failover for WAN. It's not going to support unlimited users, of course, but I like it, and that's how I solved my problem with connecting it.